Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In this video, I want to talk to you guys a little bit about kind of the strategies I've been using throughout this challenge. And actually, the strategies I've been using, I've been refining in a sense, but kind of the idea is the same. And the idea revolves around this thing called depth of processing. And really, what it tells you is that the more information you process at a deep level, the better things are, or the better you learn. And by processing at a deep level, um, I can give you some examples. So, for instance, processing at a deep level would look like being able to explain the concept simply, being able to understand it from different perspectives, being able to give analogies, being able to give certain intuitions for the subject. So that's really the essence of depth of processing, and my strategies revolve around that. In particular, there's been this one strategy that I've been using called the Feynman technique. Now, this strategy is kind of, I guess you could say it was founded by Scott Young, but the kind of idea had been around before, and the idea is to explain things at a simple level. Scott Young has put it on a step-by-step process, but the idea is to have it to explain things simply. And so pretty much you have a concept and you try to explain it as if to someone that isn't all that familiar with this particular field or for that particular concept for that matter. And what that means is that every word you use that's unfamiliar to him, you have to explain it at a simple level that he understands. And essentially, you regurgitate this process over and over again until you can explain it simply and it makes sense to you. And when you look at the piece of paper, it's really simple when you read it. So that's the Feynman technique. Something else I've been using is asking an absurd amount of questions. So the good thing about asking an absurd amount of questions is that you can view things from different perspectives in this way. So for instance, let's say I'm trying to understand integration, right? I could ask different questions about the history of it. I could ask questions about perhaps what's a simple intuitive picture of understanding it, right? I could ask other questions as well, and so on and so forth. And that's essentially, those are the main two strategies. At the beginning, I used to use a lot of analogies and so forth, but I think what is better, instead of just constructing analogies, is to incorporate analogies into the Feynman technique. So explain things simply using analogies, not just cooking up analogies. At least that's what I found was better. So another thing I've been using, which isn't so much correlated with depth of processing, but it's something I've also been using, is called interleaving. Now this is a strategy that's been heavily documented, and the idea is that you shouldn't study courses in one big chunk. You should sort of have a mix of them. So for instance, if you're taking calculus, biology, and history or something like that, instead of studying one big chunk of history, then one big chunk of biology, then one big chunk of calculus, you study maybe a little chunk of physics, a little chunk of calculus, a little chunk of history, and a little chunk of biology, a little chunk of history, a little chunk of calculus, a little chunk of biology, and you mix them up. So that's another strategy that I've been using. Now, one of the very important things that I've tried to do with this challenge is to have grasp and intuition for things. So have a simple intuitive picture. And the good thing about it is that now online, that's a lot more viable than before. So it's a lot easier because there's a lot of different people posting content about a bunch of different topics. So getting an intuition for the subject is going to be a lot easier, having a simple intuitive picture. Now, it's a little bit different from depth of processing because depth of processing in math would perhaps look like, yeah, you've understood different questions about it, you can prove it and derive it, but there's not this simple, really beautiful picture that you have for it. And when you have this simple, beautiful picture, it's a lot more fun. It generates a lot of excitement. And that's not all, but you understand all the more deeply. Having this intuitive picture, I think, is going to overrule any other kind of strategy, I think. I think it's the most important thing because with intuition, you can kind of just go through the problems, and having this simple picture really just makes things fun. And you don't have to memorize formulas and so on. You can kind of think of things in your head and go through them. Alright, so that's going to be the end of this video, guys, and hope you enjoyed. See you in the next one.